What's up, spiritual gangsters? This your OGs, Treese.
And rain.
Welcome to another episode of Trybe Vibes.
So, let's get into it.
So I picked this topic this time. The topic that I picked was vices. I just think this is just like a really big topic. The reason why I decided to pick it is because it's something that I go through a lot. It's hard for me to overcome a lot of my vices. I'm not speaking from like a point of like, I've found the cure and like, my life is perfect and great. Like, I just want to like talk it out like as a person that like has vices and is working through them, every day. So I think this topic is very important and it's relatable too, because who doesn't have vices?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the point. We're all human. This isn't this platform definitely isn't like a judgy talk down on anybody. This is what you got to be doing. This is, we pick these because these are lessons we got to learn. So.
Exactly. What was your reaction to me wanting to talk about vices?
Well, honestly, I feel like you've been circling around that topic for a little bit, so I knew it was coming up.
Right.
When you talk about, stuff that you deal with, and I deal with it as well, but I just know specifically the stuff that you wanted to learn and tackle. So, I mean, I'm with it. It's lessons I got to learn too. So.
All right, so let's get into it. So first, we wanted to talk about, like what are vices and like why we develop them and end up using them.
So, as to what they are, I don't have a definite definition in front of me, dictionary definition, but it's, guilty pleasures would be like the easier way to say it, stuff that or activities that we indulge in that we know we probably shouldn't, but is something that we do to feel better or, achieve certain parts of ourselves. So, yeah.
I would say, so the dictionary word from dictionary.com says an immoral or evil habit or practice.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was kind of harsh. I'm like, damn, like
rude.
yeah, right. It was like a practice or behavior or a habit generally considered immoral, sinful, criminal, rude, taboo, depraved, or degrading in an associated society. In a more minor usage, which I guess maybe we're trying to steer on, the minor definition usage is a vice that can refer to fault, a negative character trait, a defect, an infirmity, or I don't know what that word means. Or a
sickness.
What does that word mean?
Like a sickness.
Oh, like infirmary.
Yeah.
It says or a bad or unhealthy habit.
Yeah. Well, ours is probably the more PG version of that, because the first one makes everybody sound like a psychopath.
Right. Like, why are we doing this to each other and ourselves?
My God, that's masochism. That's not at all what we're discussing.
Right.
Yeah. So this one is the more humane version. Something that I would like to delve into or, look at is all the negative connotations and associations, like the first definition associated with. But we'll get into that.
Right, exactly. And so for us in this conversation, I think unhealthy habits is probably the best definition that we're using. I think, I feel like some vices I think most vices are learned. Like they're kind of like learned behaviors. I think we kind of have like a nature towards vices also that goes hand in hand with that. But I feel like a lot of the vices that we end up taking on. What did you say?
Like the nature versus nurture type of thing.
Right, exactly. Like, is it nature? Is it nurture? I think it's a little bit of both. But it's definitely something that we use, I feel like, to kind of cope sometimes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
with whatever we have going on.
And honestly, sometimes it's not even the major stresses that are in our life. Just everyday life can be something so like monotonous and dull that we may indulge in things or activities that add like excitement into our lives. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of color, just that momentary pleasure if your life is dull or boring, or if you have stresses and then like it's more of an escape. Either way, it's an escape.
Well, I feel like more so nowadays because, like, we're so overloaded with, like, all this information and all these things going on that I feel like people can't just be still nowadays. People can't be, like, bored, or being still is considered boring, or living a monotonous life or anything that's not thrilling every second of the day just seems like a boring thing to do, you know what I mean? And people end up getting like, I guess, anxiety, about like their day-to-day lives, where they end up taking on vices to kind of like cope with that.
Yeah, just to get through. It is an escape. I think that's that just clicks with me.
Right. Or it could be habits too. Like I feel like sometimes our vices, sometimes it's not necessarily like I just want to run away, escape, whatever. Sometimes I just think it's something that we're just used to doing and we don't really give it much thought. And I think that's why it's important to kind of be conscious of what you're doing with your day, what you're listening to, what you let come into your body, what you let come into your ears, what you let come into your mouth, what you put your energy towards, what energy are you bringing back in. All of that's kind of important, because unless you like consciously think about like everything you do in your life, sometimes you may not even know that you have a vice.
That's true. We are not the best judge of our own behaviors.
Like if we saw a movie of ourselves and everything we did all day, we'll probably be like, I did that? I do that?
Yeah,
I look like that?
Yeah.
And not even know. And the only reason why I'm in this place right now, I guess the place I am with vices, is that I'm starting to realize what my vices are. And that's why I want to talk about this topic and explore like what are vices and, how we can overcome them. Are they really totally bad and stuff like that? Because I've been more conscious about, the things I do and more aware of how I just go about my day and, the energies I take in and the things I listen to. Because even like I had to change over like my whole YouTube and my whole Spotify and everything, because
really,
I was just taking in so much negativity and I wasn't even realizing it.
Oh, wow. And that's really true. The subconscious behaviors that can be the most dangerous. My question that I pose to you is, how much do you think society and its current views, because I personally believe that society's heading more towards like a hedonistic mindset where it can do whatever pleases you.
Right.
How much do you think that has a role in our views on, but like just generally society, like our views on vices and in our personal lives?
Well, I think nowadays we live in an era where everyone's like, find your vice and just do it.
Yeah.
Like let's just do it. Like let's just pleasure. Like, or like even like things that should seem like serene and calming.
Mm.
Like like I don't have an Instagram, but I still see Instagram around and stuff like that. So like things like people take pictures on top of mountains and people do all this stuff that should like bring you like peace and calm. For me, doesn't really do that. It's like a lot of faking.
Oh yeah.
If that makes sense. It's like a lot of faking. So it's like they're presenting us a picture of what we need to do, to be, I guess, this like adventure, thrill seeking like person. And I don't know if I'm making sense. And then like if our lives don't kind of like match up to that, it's kind of like we end up like doing other things to kind of like thrill us
I see what you're saying.
throughout the day.
It's like the popular culture and the also heavily advertised underculture.
It's like popular culture advertisement versus realistic expectations of your life.
Yeah.
And you subconsciously take in like all like the advertisements, all the stuff that's going on, and subconsciously you're taking all that stuff in like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not living this type of life. Oh, I'm not doing this. Oh, I'm not doing that. And kind of instead of just being present with your moment, having gratitude for what's around you, and then setting up your life so that, you know, you're happy and you do what you want, all these subconscious expectations of you are constantly being flashed, you know, in front of you, if that makes sense. That's why I kind of had to just like tweak my Spotify, tweak my YouTube and the things that I was taking in, because I want to take in things that are only make me feel good, make me feel positive, put positive thoughts in my mind, and realistic like goals for myself. You know, I'm not saying that you can't, like, if you want to thrill seek, go thrill seek, or if you want to be this person, be that person. But I feel like a lot of the media now is trying to tell you who you should be, you know, instead of you figuring that out and then, you know, going forth and doing whatever, you know, is truly meant for you, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. It's to me, what I got from that, which I agree with, is that another possible reason vices develop is because we have an absence of peace in ourselves.
Right.
So we are looking to compensate that with, eventually it's going to be a fleeting feeling, but just that feeling of peace or excitement or something that fills that hole. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's our nature, like the human nature part of it.
Right.
For me is it's our nature to seek. Like, you know, especially even as a kid, like kids, they just want to learn, they want to touch, they want to seek. And that kind of never leaves us, you know. You may feel like it leaves you, but I feel like we're always like, we always want to learn more. We always want to do more and, you know, all of that. And within seeking, sometimes we kind of develop habits that aren't good for us.
Right.
And I think the hard part is kind of like getting out of a habit. Like it's easy to find a habit that is good for you, but gives you pleasure.
Right.
The hard part is weaning yourself off of that pleasure.
Right.
You know, like for instance, Buddha, noble truth of all conditioned things are suffering, kind of goes into this like vices conversation, because you end up in a cycle of like a pleasure trap cycle is what I would want to call it. It's like we're only using our body for like primitive pleasures, and we never develop outside of that pleasure trap cycle. And we're always reaching out and like never inside of ourselves. So we're always going to need some type of stimulus, and we can never truly be at peace with ourselves because we're seeking everything outside of ourselves instead of inside of ourselves. Outside of ourselves could be like social media, it could be society, it could be nurture, you know, and it could be, you know, your nature too, because your nature is also the nature of everyone else around you and what you see. So sometimes nature and nurture is like almost the same thing in a way, you know.
I get it. Where it's dormant in you, so it's in there in the first place. It's which wolf you feed.
Right. And then it's just impossible to find something that's conditioned that offers you, you know, lasting and total satisfaction. So that's why they end up being vices, because it's kind of like a pseudo replacement of what you just need to develop inside of yourself.
Right. But I mean, as you were saying, like we all are on that journey. So it's having vices is very much a part of the human experience. I saw this this quote from McNeil Dixon, good Lord, where basically they equate vices with being human and saying that he who hates vices hates mankind. And that just kind of shows how deeply rooted that eternal struggle is in ourselves. Like, I think it's very much a part of the human experience to, like, make mistakes and to do damage and take damage and learn from it. That's all a part of the process.
Right. It's a journey.
Right. So that's why I just wanted to circle back to all the negative connotations in with vices. I mean, yes, obviously they are something that we should not be indulging in, but because it's so much a part of ourselves to have that, like you said, it's something that's in us. We either like feed it or not. So it's nothing that we should be beating ourselves up about,
right,
as long as you are on the continuous journey of veering towards, the lighter half of the balance.
I feel like you can't grow though until you experience first indulging yourself, right? And then realizing you're indulging yourself too much in a negative way. Like, I think that part is important because a lot of people walking around here, like I said before, don't realize they have vices. So a part of the journey is actually, going through it, realizing you have it, and then trying to overcome it, because that's where, kind of like the magic happens, and I feel like you get a piece of yourself back every time you do better. Every time you look inward instead of outward.
I get that, but I don't believe that we have to go to the extreme in order to find the balance.
Like, what do you mean? Explain that.
Oh, isn't that what you're saying, that we have to indulge in, well, not like literally we have to indulge, but just saying like we learn from those, deep, dark moments of when we've overindulged, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
I think we just learn from not being the best versions of ourselves.
Okay.
Like, for instance, what's a good vice? There's a whole bunch of vices, but even like, let's say smoking, for instance, right?
Right.
Back in the day, people used to smoke. They didn't even know that smoking was bad for you.
Hmm.
They were just like, oh, this is just the thing to do, right?
Right.
People nowadays, so they kind of have a reason why, they didn't know it was bad for them. Okay, fine. But it's still a habit. It's still something that people still needed to do. They must have still felt addicted to what they were doing. Even nowadays, people know smoking is bad for you and they still do it. Some people even start smoking nowadays. And some people don't think there's nothing wrong with it. Some people they don't think twice about it. And some people are so not conscious of what they're doing, don't even realize they're smoking a cigarette or how many cigarettes they smoke in a day. It becomes second nature, like just a part of their habit. Like when they say, how like you think you locked your door? You think you didn't lock your door and when you leave your house, but locking your door is so automatic that most people do lock the doors before they leave the house. But you ever had that feeling like you woke up, block away, and you're like, dang, I don't remember locking the door. Did I lock the door? And then like you run back and then like the door is locked.
Okay.
I don't know. It's
you lost me a little bit there. No lie. Fuck you mean?
It's like you do something so unconsciously.
Okay. All right. We're back. Welcome back, everybody. Subconscious behavior.
So that's what I mean about discovering you actually have a vice.
Okay.
You don't even it's so subconscious and so automatic for you. On your lunch break you smoke, on this you smoke. Sometimes you even just start walking to the store before your mind thinks you're going to go buy a pack of cigarettes. Because at this time, blah, 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 you go walk to the store.
So that's like, stuff that we do that cause harm without us even realizing it.
Right, because it's a habit. It feels. I want to separate the you feeling like it's a part of you. Because you smoking is not a part of you. It's not you. You know,
Not
smoking
literally
is bad, but
right.
you're not bad because you smoke, because smoking is not a part of you.
Right. What I meant was not the actual vice. It was really the impulse.
Oh, the impulse.
Basically self-sabotage in a way. But I have a question to pose, another question. Since it's your topic. Yeah, ask me questions. So, what do you think is worse? Confusing what is causing harm for good, like when you don't have the intention to, I guess, self-sabotage or to, harm yourself emotionally, psychologically, whatever. Or is it more dangerous than to be conscious of that and just outright sin?
I don't get your question.
Okay, go back. What do you think is worse? Like having that, I guess, automatic behavior to indulge in vice without really having the intention to cause any harm? Or do you think it's worse to know what you're doing but just say fuck it and do it anyway? Because in the latter sense, you're owning up to it at least, and you're self-aware.
I feel like awareness is key, because I feel like you spend so much of your life not knowing the truth that, especially by the time you're an adult, having illusions about your life or not realizing, what is true about yourself, especially. I know you can't do so much about what's true with everything going on around the world and, other people in your life. But when it comes to yourself, I feel like you deserve to be honest with yourself, like at baseline. Like the same way you deserve honesty from people, you should apply that to yourself. And it's up for us to, like, if you didn't know, you didn't know. There's nothing you can do about the past. But once you know, I think that's more important. And like, I'm kind of in the latter stage that you're talking about now. Like, I consciously know the things that I do wrong.
Right. You have
and I'm still doing it.
Okay.
Like, that's the stage I'm in now. But I feel like this is just a stage in my progression. Like I know the things that I want to change. I'm being conscious and honest with myself about these things and how they're affecting me, and I'm ready to do better.
I like that, because in any situation where there is a change about to happen, like you said, to have that awareness first that it even needs to take place is definitely the first step.
You can't skip the reflection portion, because when you skip reflection and kind of like really realizing where you're at and where you want to be and the things that, has been going on in your life, once you skip that part, it's harder to truly change into the person you want to be, because you don't even know who that person is. You're just going off of whatever you're feeling at the time,
Right.
And, emotions are fleeting, but your actions, that's what you did, that's.
You can't go back and change that.
Yeah. So I think it's more important, and it's better for you to be conscious and still do bad than, in my opinion, than, not knowing at all. I don't want to not know. I don't want to die being ignorant to the world. We're living in this world. Why die being ignorant?
There's a lot of people.
We only get, I don't know how many shots I got at this or what type of life I'm on, but, I'm trying to seek as much as I can now at this point, and with seeking, like I said before, we go through things. Sometimes we go through things. Sometimes the things attach to us for a little bit, and then sometimes they fall off, and sometimes we got to rip them shits off.
That's the bad way. That's true.
It's all about the growing process. And as you're running up the hill or the journey of life, the faster you get, the more you're going towards good, the harder things are going to get. Just like, what they say, like the smartest people usually have the most troubled minds, or, like the greatest people usually have like
the happiest. Okay.
Yeah, they usually don't have like a nice, I shouldn't say nice, they have like a big story about like their personal life, or like things that go on, or they're troubled or whatever, because they're going through a lot, because their mind is open,
Yeah.
And
I've had somebody tell me that once, because I'm smiley and I'm happy, I'm weird, and this dude was like always a dick to me, and anytime I smile or laugh, he would just like roll his eyes. He's like, I don't believe that sunshine shit, because people who shine the brightest have the darkest shadows. I was like, oh wow, good morning. But he was woke, but he's a dick.
I think it's just a part of the duality of life. Like, as much good you possess is how much evil you possess at the same time. Even though I don't necessarily believe in good and evil, but that's a whole nother topic. But I say, as much light, he's right, as much light you shine, it's the same type of shadow you can cast. Same amount of darkness, like everything is like that. So even though I'm capable of all this good stuff, I still am capable of, having a whole bunch of vices. That's just the catch-22 of developing yourself.
Well, in getting better, I guess something that we have to identify is the depth of how much these vices are affecting us, whether it's just a simple indulgence, or is it something heavier, like addiction, that we need to deal with?
Well, also, I want to know the answer to the question. We're going to get to that. I'm going to circle back on that. But what do you think? Do you think it's better to not know, or to know and continue to do it?
To know and to continue to do it, you do reach a point where it's like, it's good that we're self-aware. But the fact that we know and we return to these behaviors is a problem. And I'm speaking from this experience, because there's 3 things I name off the top of my head that I know I should not be doing, but I do that shit anyway. And I feel like that's horrible, because if I didn't know I was self-sabotaging, then I don't know, I just feel like it would be better, because now it's like the intention to self-sabotage is there, and it's like, wow, that's a different type of fucked up. You know what I mean?
No, it's true. It is self-sabotage. Like, that's you continue to do it. That's why it's such a hard question.
Yeah, I be throwing them deep ones.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get your take on it. Because, I think that's where the feelings come in. Like I feel like I feel like what you thinking is self-sabotage is you doubting yourself. And that can lead towards a spiral too. Like, you're constantly like being mean to yourself and not positively talking to yourself. And instead, you're saying, oh, I'm a piece of shit. I know I'm not supposed to do this, and I keep doing this.
Deprecation? No. Yeah. I mean, it's different where it's like,
So it's like you're sabotaging yourself on all fronts sometimes when you think that way, because you're doing something that's not healthy for you. And then you're talking to yourself all fucked up when you have that mind frame too. That's the only reason why I picked knowing is better, because when you know, you can talk to yourself in a better way.
It doesn't always work with me, because when I know and I do it anyway, then comes the guilt. And when the guilt rolls in, but then the self-deprecation happens as well. It's like, oh, you dumb fuck, you shouldn't have done that.
But I feel like we can change that by just talking to ourselves better. Like, oh, I did this again. Like, reflecting. Like, why did I do this? Like,
well, I'm a bit of an asshole.
Uh-huh.
I'm an asshole.
Yes, right. But instead of saying that, we could just be like, why did we do this? Like, what was I feeling? Like, really reflecting and being conscious about what led you there.
Yeah, it always comes back to the root, man. It always comes back to the root cause and the why. Why am I doing this specific behavior? Why am I doing this self-sabotage? Why? Oh, why, oh, why? I never thought why.
And what can I do instead? Or if I just let this Kool-Aid pass, like, for instance, like, I've been trying, like, what I would do is I wouldn't partake in the vice, right? And I would just reflect on how I'm feeling. Like, am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling this? Am I feeling that? Yeah. And sometimes I just continue on my day and I won't even look at the vice or I won't even indulge in it. And then time passes and I don't feel those feelings anymore. And I'm not even thinking about the vice anymore.
Absolutely. Because you've dealt with the root. You dealt with the reason why, the core.
No, I think it's more of just like we live in a society where we focus on the now and don't realize that sometimes our emotions are fleeting. Like our feelings of maybe tension or this and that, whatever is going to lead us to that vice is like a fleeting feeling. You get what I mean? Like say something happens and it makes you upset and you want to go drink. Sometimes with just taking a couple of breaths and just like understanding how you feel and letting some time go past, sometimes you'll forget about it. Unless like obviously it's I'm talking about on a lower level, not on like, you know, you have an addiction to alcohol.
Right.
You know, I'm talking for like a level where like, you know, you may binge drink
that.
Huh?
No, I get that. I've read something a little while ago where I forgot who said. I'm pretty sure it's the Dalai Lama. Probably. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. But it's basically saying it's harmful for us to act on our emotions. Our emotions are not supposed to be full states of being.
Right.
They're supposed to be just warnings or like little indicators of what's going on. Right. Like I'm upset about something that happened. It wouldn't be fruitful for me to just, you know, punch a wall because that's dumb. But, you know, it was important for me in that moment to you know, why am I upset? Because this happened and, you know, it shouldn't have happened or whatever, to deal with the root causes. And we're not supposed to be in that state of being because then we do things that we often regret. Like indulge in things we shouldn't indulge in.
And the feeling will just go away on its own.
Exactly. When you work out the emotion, when you deal with the emotion head on.
And that's why meditation is a good thing, because when you meditate, it's about noticing everything. It's about becoming more conscious and present. You know, at least from my opinion, it's like,
I mean, that's like, yeah.
You realize how you feel. Yeah. It's like, oh, like, and you disassociate yourself with your feelings. You may be feeling tense or frustrated, like, oh, I feel tense and frustrated. I see. Oh, I see tenseness and frustration going away. Oh, I know I'm going to see you later. You know what I mean? It's like visitors that come and they go.
Oh, that's well put.
But they don't stay. They're just visitors. You know, you're going to feel things and they're going to come and go. But you don't, it's up to you to be conscious and decide how to act on these feelings that you're feeling, because it's your life. And once you feel like and I feel like it's a control thing. You know, with vices, it's like you're throwing away control. You know, or sometimes you don't want the control either. There's times where you just like, I don't want the control. I want to check out, you know.
The need to escape.
Right. Escape. That's a better word. So you escape by giving up your power to the vices, you know, until you really realize that you're in charge and you're conscious enough to make the decisions. And if you do decide to indulge, now going back to your indulgence versus addiction, indulgence, I feel like, is a conscious action. Addiction, I feel like, deals more with like the subconscious, and it's when you truly start causing like harm to yourself and sometimes other people. Indulgence is like oh, no, I'm not supposed to be eating ice cream, but I'm going to eat ice cream today. I'll go to the gym tomorrow. Or I need a girl's day. I need this and that. Like, I feel like you're making decisions for yourself based on what you want and how you feel. And you're deciding to do something that may not be totally healthy for you, but you're going in it understanding the consequences, but then wanting the pleasure at that moment because you feel like it's something that you need. Addiction, I feel like, is more of, it deserves a topic of its own, but I feel like that's more subconscious. Like, you feel like you need it. Like, you don't even think about how is it going to affect you, how it's going to hurt you. Like, it's not a very conscious thing.
I don't 100% agree with that.
No, how do you feel about it?
Because, well, going back to the whole need to escape, I've heard that somewhere where the drug or whatever, like the habit or device, we'll say in this instinct, doesn't make the addict, it's the need to escape. So in your mind or in your, environment that, that you're in, if you don't want to belong there, you don't want to continue in that situation, or you just can't deal, I personally believe that I guess it starts with that choice, that I don't want to experience this physical reality anymore or this specific situation anymore. So let me, indulge in this or partake in this behavior or activity so that I can live a different reality for a time. You know what I mean? I believe it starts with a conscious decision to escape reality.
So what do you think the difference between indulgence and addiction is?
That's a deep one.
Because that's the question you proposed to me.
Yeah, I'm deep.
You were ready for me to throw them to you.
Throwing them shits out.
Because I think what you're talking about is addiction. I feel like indulgence is a choice. Addiction is when something is making a choice for you.
But it's no, not necessarily. Because I think you make that. It starts with an initial decision. It starts somewhere.
That's
true. Put Coke in front of you and like, I'm gonna do this. No, whatever the situation may be, it's like, oh, let's get high. It's that initial, like, let's change our reality right now.
I think what you're saying is indulgence is a slippery slope that can lead to addiction.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I think that's why you're having trouble with both of them, because they are kind of like one and the same. Yeah, you make a choice. Like when you first, like say the first time somebody does like a, whatever, heroin or something like that, or crack cocaine, it was the choice to escape. They didn't choose to be an addict at that moment, but that slippery slope, that slope was very steep, with that decision. I think some slopes are more leveled than others, like some vices that you do, it takes a long period of indulgence to actually become an addiction. But then there's some things that you can indulge in and instantly be addicted to. And I think that's
I think that speaks more towards the actual, what it is specifically, on how quick it could happen. Because honestly, there's people who naturally have an addictive personality. You know what I mean? There's somebody who can do a drug or do an activity once and, have that escape and be like, all right, I'm good. But then there's people who what I was saying was that they have that constant need in them to satisfy something or to compensate for something. I understand what you mean. They constantly seek that pleasure. You know what I mean? That's what I was talking about. Because there's people who are, the drug itself can make you an addict. The situation itself can, be addictive, because of chemicals and endorphins and all that crap. But then there's people who just have that want and have that need for constant, to be constantly satiated.
Right. And that's like something that they need to work out with themselves. even if it's like a past trauma or, something that they feel inside or, whatever is going on with them.
Right.
It's like they're trying to fill that hole. And I think it's important to really realize where the root is. And I think that's the hardest thing too, like being like honest with yourself, like face to face with like what the root of the problem is.
I would say the biggest thing, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest differences between indulgence and addiction is your awareness and your control of the situation. Like, if you are still in control of your actions and I guess parts of your personality that may be affected by whatever your vice is, I feel like that is more towards indulgence. But if you have that loss, like, it's just given in to whatever you have or whatever vice you have that makes you happy at the time, you completely give in to whatever behaviors are associated with it. That's when it slopes into like addiction. And it's all about balance, people.
Yeah, I think that's the important part. Is just balance.
Yeah, because we all have, like I said, we all have these self-sabotaging moments or thoughts or ideas or whatever. It's if you give into it and how you give into it. But it makes us human. It'd be like that, son.
Right.
That's a wrap up on my thoughts. It'd be like that.
It do be like that sometimes. I don't know. It's such a it's hard to talk about, because a lot of people don't even if they know what their vices are, it's like embarrassing. Like nobody wants to, like everybody wants to show the good side of themselves. And that's the problem with like society and social media. Everyone wants to show the good, but a lot of people don't really show the struggles. There needs to be like a platform where it's like struggle media, where like everyone shows themselves failing at something.
TV. But honestly, nowadays, I would give credit to this generation, not ours, but then the people younger than us. I feel like they have the extremes where everything is, you have the social media aspect where everything is like a finished product and like 13-year-olds have brands.
Yeah. And then, it's kind of cool. It's kind of empowering.
Yeah, and then there's a movement where I've seen it when I was on Tumblr way back in the day, but then it's like, there was Lorde and there's Billie Eilish and then there's people and there's artists who show you their pain. They put it in the forefront and be like, we all experienced this, but here it is, so let's talk about it, let's deal with it. So I was when we were growing up, I definitely didn't see that. Not that we're that old, but I definitely didn't see that because immediately everybody was thin-skinned and whatever, and just everything polished, perfect, big hair, big makeup. And this is life.
This is why we connected on our mutual love for Jessie J.
Oh, I love Hana Sana.
Because she's like the realest bitch ever. Like she says it. She sings it how she sees it. Period. It doesn't matter if she's
filter in her lyrics.
It doesn't matter if she's going through good times, you know it. If she's going through bad times, you know it. If she sees the world a certain type of way, she's gonna say it. Like she is like, she's amazing. She's amazing. But she would be an example of what you're talking about, like people kind of putting their struggles like on the forefront. And I think that's why music affects a lot of people because it's like a way to connect. But that's why I don't even have social media because I got rid of social media when I was in college, like maybe like my last or second to last year of college, I got rid of my social media because it just didn't make sense. Like I'm like looking at people that like I went to high school with and I don't even talk to them anymore, but like I'm looking at their lives and it's so fake and weird and disconnected. Like you feel fake connected to people. Like why should I know that you take shits at 6:00 in the morning, and I haven't talked to you in like 10 years.
Rise and grind.
Like,
No,
how did you
absolutely.
do that?
Yeah. So yeah, when I deleted my social media, that's when I realized how much actual real people were in my life. Like, I deleted my social media, and I went from having, a couple hundred of fake friends to having like 5 motherfuckers.
Right.
And I'd rather have those 5 motherfuckers because those are real. But as life went on, and all those masks and all that shit would be stripped away, now I have 3 real motherfuckers.
Right. No, real shit.
Ride or die for them. You know what I mean? With the 3.
And social media can be a vice. Anything can be a vice.
Oh, there you go. Speak on it.
It really can. And overcoming that is very important too. But yeah, I felt the same way. And it's funny because I got rid of my social media. I was like, fuck it. Got rid of it. My birthday came like a year later, and there were people that texted me happy birthday on my cell phone and was like, oh, I couldn't find you on social media. And you would never know. If I kept my social media, I would have never known that people actually just know when my birthday is because they care about me as a person.
You keep getting surprised that I know your birthday.
I was like, what? And with this person that texted me,
like 10 years, bitch, I know when your birthday.
Right. I know, right? But I'm just saying, like, the sweet little notions that, like, are lost within social media. Like, people have to be told this is this. I know this is like, we're going off on a big tangent, but it's a good conversation to have.
I mean, it's a part of it because social media is a vice, and this is probably why. It's because you have that disconnect there. You're connected, but not really, because you're not connected. You have access to people, but you're not connected.
Right.
How about that?
I feel like it plays up the pseudo life of others and the pseudo life you try to exhibit yourself, and could add to your vices that you have in real life because you're stressed out trying to live up to certain expectations that you're not even really nurturing yourself anymore. You're just like addicted to the feeling of the dopamine as you're seeing great things and posting great things about yourself.
There you go. It's the and also addiction to the attention that you get, but it absolutely, social media itself is an escape. That's what makes it a vice. People live completely different lives online than they do in real life. It's their escape. It's their Windex clean version of themselves.
People be in closets, like, turning up, having the time of their life.
Like, exactly.
On social media with like 1 million views, putting on makeup and never going outside.
Okay, and they have all these travel pictures and when it's really they just like live in their mama basement. Like,
there is going to be like a big study, if it's not in the works now, of like how social media like devastated this generation.
Oh my gosh, these people are the worst. They're the best and the worst at the same time. Like, there is no middle ground, I think, for this generation.
You know what the problem is that social media can do a lot of good. It really can. Like, I'm not trying to like bash social media or anything like that. It just wasn't conducive to the way I wanted to live my life. Other people, they can deal with it and still like be okay. Especially if you have like a business or a brand or something, or some people use it for different reasons.
Real life in the real world. Don't live your life.
That's the reason why I got rid of it, because I felt like my life was being taken over by something instead of be living through it. Let alone, why do I want to be in front of a computer with all this radiation and cell phones in my face all day anyway? I'd rather just talk to people in real life, and not have my phone next to me. That's another thing too, but
those actual experiences that we have. For me, the turning point was, do you remember that Justin Nozuka concert we went to?
That was my first concert ever. How can I forget?
Well, my first concert was like a gospel concert, but that didn't count. So this was, this was like with my church, and I was forced there. But yeah, this was my first, like, I get to buy my own ticket concert. That, I think, was a turning point for me. I mean, I deleted my social media. Did I? No.
No,
I deleted it around that time. Huh? Yeah, it was around that time, that day, like shortly after. But because that experience, it was me, you, and a couple of other friends, and we were like going to this hippie concert, and we were just like singing along to the hippie lyrics, and we were just having these conversations, and it was just like, just the energy in that room was just so dope. And then like trying to put the pictures online, I'm like, this doesn't even fucking capture
the moment.
How exactly, it doesn't capture the moment, it doesn't capture how I felt. So I was trying to put into words, and I'm like, this is insane. Like, I'd much rather have those genuine and real experiences and live and treasure that than just, you know, trying to portray that mask online. You know what I mean? Trying to
You're not
portray it
living. You're just trying to
exactly.
capture.
Like, exactly, because at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what anybody else has to comment on this. You know what I mean? It was more important to me that, you know, that awesome vibe that was there. You know what I mean?
I think it's important for us to take back our moments for ourselves.
Exactly.
Like, instead of trying to show everyone else what's going on, sometimes we need to take all that energy and nurture us, because if we're not taking in that energy and just bringing it to us, we're taking energy away from ourselves and giving it to somebody else who may not even appreciate it, you know, and that's going to cause, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. Just like when people post on social media and they're like, this is not meant for everyone. Well, you're fucking posting it on a platform for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's you can put whatever you want out there in the world, but it's not up to you to say how people respond to it. Therefore, some moments you should just keep for yourself.
Yeah. But I think it's more like, it's not even how other people view it. It's like taking the time to heal and enjoy your real and waking life.
Right.
Or, you know, indulge in things that actually, you know, help you grow in a way, like spiritually, whatever, rather than focusing on the escapist view of like this alternate quick pleasure inducing fleeting moment. You know what I mean? Because when you're happy in your real life, then you don't need to escape.
That's true. FYI, we need to go to another Justin Azuka concert. I don't know if he's
out of his suicidal place. Yeah.
So I hope he's doing well, and I hope that he actually goes on tour, because he goes through these phases where like he just doesn't do anything for like 5 years, and he pops up and like blows my mind. And then my sister, every time, I know this is random, but any Justin Azuka fans out there, you'll appreciate this little conversation. But I put one of the songs on my sister's iPod, and every time she comes on, she's like, Patrice, how do I put this?
Save him? Is it save him?
On my phone with the gun and him killing babies.
Oh God.
Listening to the lyrics all scattered, so she don't know what's going on. She just knows it's like depressing as hell.
No, but he's a fucking brilliant storyteller. My God, like,
oh my God,
and to hear the story behind it, where like he just made that shit up.
Like, that's the most crazy part of it. He's making it up. Okay, we have to do a separate podcast on Justin Azuka and his music and Pacific songs and stuff like that.
So I'm gonna be a total YouTuber. Like in the comments and comment in the comments if you want.
So we'll pause that conversation. We're definitely I'm putting it in our management note as we speak. But I would say the best moments I've ever had in my life, I enjoyed it and was thrilled so much, like so naturally, that I never even thought about taking out my phone or whatever. Like, it would just be a memory. And I still remember. Like, people don't want to rely on their memories anymore. Like,
they outsource them.
Yeah, they want to outsource their memories. It's like, and the memories are still vivid. They're still beautiful. And when I think back, I get this sense of comfort from it.
Yeah.
And this sense of peace and this sense of enjoyment that I had in those moments. You know, so.
To me, I think, okay, pictures capture, you know, the scene, who was there, and everything, but I'd much rather have the memory because that captures the feeling and the vibe, and I'd much rather feel a positive feeling than to look at a picture of me smiling. You know what I mean?
Or just being distracted by your phone during a moment where you could have felt those feelings. I think that's more the issue that you're wasting time by grabbing a phone, finding the right angle, looking through a filter, when you can just look into Justin Azuka's eyes and see his pain.
Oh, girl, the eye contact.
Why are you taking a picture and looking at the picture? Like, look at his eyes with your eyes. Feel the world with your hands.
That in itself is a separate podcast. Justin Azuka direct eye contact.
It's so funny. Like,
when we met him, and it was intense. Anyway, but absolutely, yeah.
This podcast became like social media and Justin Azuka. And that's what this podcast ended up. So for all the people who don't know Justin Azuka, look him up, and then you'll get a little you'll understand what this little segue a little better.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but if you're in a low place, I don't know if he's somebody you want to listen to. I don't know. Sometimes he helps, sometimes he doesn't.
It depends on what's wrong, really. Get away from save him if you're not in a good mood.
Right. But yeah, what else about vices you wanted to talk about?
Well, I mean, we spoke on why they develop, the root causes in, the extreme versus addiction, but I think overall would be nice to hear is some advice on overcoming them. How do we get back in control of that balance in our lives?
So at the end of the day, hope you got something out of this.
Remember, we are experts of nothing, just out here in these streets.
We learn from you just as you learn from us, because we are a tribe.
Until next time,
continue to vibe.
Hey.